Hello, everyone. Semi-retired Bob here. I talk about the carnivore diet, all things related to the carnivore diet, and miscellaneous odds and ends. Today, we've got a couple of topics to go over. Of course, if you want to leave a comment over in the comments section, I'm happy to talk about whatever you'd like to talk about. But the two subjects that I really want to cover today are my 60 days no coffee experiment and what we're going to do for June, which starts tomorrow. Of course, Granny Farrell was up late last night. She checked in at 9:40 last night, just making sure she was the first one here. If you can hear me, make sure you tell me, Tanya's way ahead of me. Hi, Bob, or not Tanya, Talia. I'm sure I butchered that name still, but thanks for letting me know you can hear me and you can see me. Thank you very, very much. John has arrived. Looking forward to your no coffee experiment. And Addicted to Antlers has arrived as well. As you stop in, be sure and say hello to everybody. Danny has arrived. Danny is one of my channel members. And we do have, let me change the banner here real quick. You'll see a new name pop up there. We have a new channel member, Buckeye Boys. Welcome to the channel. I really appreciate your support. I don't have a lot of members-only content, but there's a little bit out there, and I'm planning on doing more as we move forward through the summer. And my big plan is to show a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff when I get down to Texas and start working on that property as well. But let's go ahead while we wait for more people to come in. I'll cover this again, but let's go ahead and talk about the June challenge here real quick. As those of you that have been around for quite some time know, last July, I did a everybody keep track of your steps and turn them in on each video, and I'll keep running tally to see where we can get to. The main complaint I heard about that last July was that, gosh, Bob, why are we doing this in July? It's really hot out there, man. Come on. So this year we're doing it in June. We're going to do it a month early, starting tomorrow. As you go out for your walk, just keep track of your steps and report them. I was extremely surprised at such a huge response last year. So this year, I'm hoping for even more of a response, but we'll see what happens. I mean, we have almost twice as many subscribers now as we did last year, but we'll just say thanks to the powers that be that regulate the fine waves of the internet. I'm getting about half of the views that I got a year ago. So we'll see what happens, but hopefully with more people, we can get to an even bigger step total, but be sure and stop in and let me know what your steps are. And that's going to be our June challenge. I'm hoping that we can get a bigger number than what we got last year, but we shall see. I was very shocked last year at how many steps we actually got. I was hoping for, maybe a few people would join in and maybe we'd get to, a couple 300,000 steps as a channel, but I haven't gone back and looked. I'm going to do that later this afternoon. But if I remember right, I think we got to a little over 2 million steps as a channel last year. So hopefully we can beat that a little bit. I see we're up to 9 people in the chat, so go ahead and drop into the comments and say hello. Let me know where you're checking in from. Charger Mopar has just arrived. Rick is here, and it is ducky time. If you guys haven't been watching his channel, he's got a lot of ducks, and he's had some cats roaming around his property lately. So there's a couple videos there worth checking out after this live stream is over, of course. And I will go back and talk about the June challenge again later in the video. But for now, let's talk about the primary topic of today's video. As you guys know, I just got done with 60 days of no coffee. I had done 30 days a couple of times previously just to see what would happen if I noticed any difference. And I did not. But I thought, well, I'm going to go ahead and do a 60-day challenge because I don't know if 30 days is enough to let the coffee clear out of your system. So that was the thought behind my 60 days of no coffee. Other than a little bit of tiredness the first couple of days, and you guys were watching my videos at that time, you saw me yawning more than I usually do during those videos. But I did not notice any big changes, either for the positive or the negative. Once again, I'm going back to drinking coffee. I saved this last sip. It's probably cold, but I brought it along just for you guys. Yes, it's very cold, but that's okay. It's coffee, and I like coffee. I haven't noticed any changes in my first couple of cups of coffee in 60 days. It's just, for me, I think coffee just does not affect me because I haven't noticed myself sleeping better. I haven't noticed myself having more or less energy. Everything has sort of been the same. So I'm going to go back to drinking coffee. I probably won't go back to having it every morning, but I will go back to drinking some coffee here and there. And I think this is an important experiment for each one of us to try. Hang on a second. I need to take a little sip of water after that cold coffee. I think this is an important experiment for each of us to try on our own, because I firmly believe that just like everything else we work through, coffee affects each and every one of us differently. Just like, if you watch Nisha, Dr. Barry's wife, she is mostly carnivore, but she has some veg every now and then. And she's been doing quite well on it. We each need to do, I talk about this a lot, our own personal N=1 experiment. We have to decide what works for us. And the only way we know is to try some things. Like Rick, Charger Mopar, he has been getting along just fine on just meat. And I believe he does eggs and some butter. And he's basically 100% carnivore. I'm 100% carnivore. 99.9-ish. I do still occasionally, not very often, but I do still occasionally have a keto chow shake. I try to keep one mixed up in the fridge because they last about a week. And, well, I haven't noticed one going bad. I've kept one in the fridge for a couple of weeks. As long as you shake it every now and then so it doesn't separate out. But occasionally when I feel a little bit hungry and I have to run out the door to go do something, I will have myself a keto chow shake. And that's really the only non-carnivore thing I'm having. And I have been making it up with their core, which is their beef protein isolate instead of their milk protein isolate. So that's just something to keep in mind. I don't believe everybody has to be 100% carnivore, but if you are, that's great. But if you decide you want a few things, I can't imagine somebody actually liking Brussels sprouts, but the last time I made this comment, I had several people drop into the comments and say, "Hey, Bob, stop that. I love Brussels sprouts." Hey, if that's your thing and your body doesn't react to them, then by all means, have some Brussels sprouts. I'm not a strict carnivore. I don't preach strict carnivore. I don't say you absolutely have to throw everything else away and never have another bite of anything if you want to be healthy. I don't say that. I say you need to decide what works for you, and the only way you're going to know that is to experiment your own N=1. Let's go ahead and jump back into the comments here and see what we've got going on here. We've got Kathy is here from Australia. Hello, Kathy. I'm glad you got here. Bob and I watch each other's videos. It's always fun seeing him mow his lawn to elevator music. Hey, elevator music is my jam. What might seem like elevator music to you gets my blood pumping. So whatever music you like, then that's the kind of music you should add to your videos. I happen to like, well, Epidemic Sound, because I've used them for 5 or 6 years now. They know what kind of music I enjoy. And while I can go into their search engine and find pretty much anything I want, jazz, hip hop, rhythm and blues, Christian music, what they call classic rock and popular and all that stuff, I can go into their categories and find all that stuff. But Epidemic Sound knows what I like, and it knows what types of things I've downloaded. And that type of music is what pops up first on my homepage when I go there. Let me see if I can. No, I don't know how to do that still. Let me see here. There's that. I'm just trying to. I haven't been out here in a couple of weeks, but now let's see here. Can I? Nope. Okay, I don't have it set up for screen sharing, so maybe I'll do that next week. But I will do that next week. I'll show you the Epidemic Sound page so that you know where my music comes from and how it suggests things to me, plus all of the different categories. They also have some a big sound effects section too, if you're one of these people that likes to put sound effects in your videos. I've talked about this before. It's a very good place. The problem with using the free music that is available from lots of different places, what has happened to people in the past, I'm not going to name any, but I can think of a couple of big YouTubers that this has happened to. They'll put out videos with the free music service, because even YouTube suggests some free music. But each of those artists don't actually, if at some point in the future they get a deal to record for somebody else, usually when they go, they take their entire music library with them, which means something that was free to use 5 years ago may suddenly become copyright protected. And YouTube's algorithms are always searching for stuff like that. So you could have a video that's been out there just fine for 4, 5, 6 years, and all of a sudden you could start getting copyright strikes on it. That does not happen. There are a few others, but I choose Epidemic Sound because it's $15 a month, and it remembers when I had an active subscription. So if I were to cancel my subscription today, every video with music in it, all the way back while I had my Epidemic Sound subscription, would continue to be covered. Now, if I used a song tomorrow after canceling my subscription today, I would start getting copyright strikes on it. But as long as my subscription is active, I don't have to worry about it, because Epidemic Sound has contracts with each of the artists, and Epidemic Sound owns the music. So when an artist leaves to go somewhere else, they don't get to take the music they wrote for Epidemic Sound with them. Okay, I've talked enough about that. Let's get back into the comments here. Uncle Big Guy has arrived. Hello, Uncle Big Guy. I hope you're doing great today. Charger Mopar is going to try a sauerkraut experiment. Yep. Meat, eggs, cheese, yogurt. Alrighty. And John says, since my stroke, coffee doesn't affect me in any way. Doesn't keep me awake. Doesn't help me wake up. Still drink it because I like the flavor. And see, that's about where I'm at, John. I don't know that it actually does anything for me as far as giving me more energy or helping me wake up. It doesn't keep me from going to sleep at night, any of that stuff. So, because I also like the flavor of coffee, I've gone back to drinking coffee. But again, that's one of those experiments we each have to do for ourselves. Brussels sprouts smell like duck poop. Only you would know something like that, Rick. Don't feel bad. I grew up liking 101 strings. Absolutely. And Katie is here. I have at least 2 101 strings records. There we go. And now we've got Craig checking in. Bob, should we be concerned about Rick being a closet vegan? He has celery in his refrigerator. That's an interesting point, Craig. I'm pretty sure that Rick might use a little bit of that stuff as seasoning, but my guess is that all of the stuff that's not carnivore in his fridge, he's using it as duck food. But because ducks only eat just so much at a time rather than just throwing it all out there and letting some of it go bad, I'm sure he probably keeps some of the duck food that he acquires from different places in the fridge until he gets around to feeding it to the ducks. But you can answer that for us, Rick. My favorite was the Hawaiian 101 strings. I don't know what you guys are talking about, but that's okay. Let's see here. You know where the celery went. Yeah, we've seen you with that one mixer-upper thingy, grinding up a green drink for yourself. I don't think you actually drank it. But that was, if you guys haven't seen that video, that's hysterical. You should go back and watch that one. I went through a few ducks before becoming fertilizer. And Let's Junk More Health has checked in. Hello. How are you today? I'm glad you're here. And John Boston has made it. Hello, John. I hope all is well. Just joining in. Did I miss the sardine hors d'oeuvres? I'm drinking coffee right now. You'll have to ask Craig about the sardine hors d'oeuvres because I don't have those. And I'll be going back over everything that I've talked about again here shortly. But for now, let's get back into the comments. Paul is here. Hi, Bob. In Amish weddings, a stalk of celery in a glass is a flower arrangement. That's funny. Instrumental music records. And you know, we talked about it last week, or it might have been 2 weeks ago, but down here you can't see, it's off camera, but I actually still have an old-fashioned 1970s style stereo over here with an equalizer and a turntable and a tuner and an amp, and I still have a few records underneath. And one of those records, actual vinyl records that I still have down there, is Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass. Excellent, excellent stuff. Brenda's here. Hey, Bob, I still need my reach. I call it ex-smoker. I grab my coffee instead. It's getting better. You know, as long as you like coffee, as I've said, if you like it and it doesn't affect you, by all means, you should have it. And let's see here. If you look at my videos on the shelf, the celery was on the shelf labeled duck food. Yeah, see, I don't imagine Rick does it. I don't even think he throws anything like that into his pots of stew for flavor. I could be wrong about that because, you know, he doesn't record everything, but my guess is that none of that stuff finds its way into even his stew pots. Bob, my mom is growing veggies in the garden. She gave me all this salad and arugula, and she says to me, "You can eat this, it won't kill you." I said, "That's not what Dr. Chafee says." Yeah. Well, and if I know you're in and around the Boston area, put it out in bird feeders. Birds or squirrels or something will like that. And I can tell you by growing up in southeastern Ohio that if you manage to catch some squirrels, squirrels are actually pretty darn good. They're a little on the lean side, but if you cook them up just right, they're quite tasty. My mom said to me, stop listening to doctors on the internet. Yeah, well, because the doctors that you go to in person are oh so accurate. All you can do, John, we've had this discussion before on my channel, not you and I personally, but all we can do as carnivores is continue on living our best life and let those around us see our results for themselves. Nothing you can say to friends or relatives, especially not parents, as Dr. Berry calls it, powdered butt syndrome. If somebody powdered your butt when you were a tiny child, it doesn't matter how big you get, how healthy you get, they are never going to listen to what you have to say. All you can do is be that good example for them. And hopefully, at some point, they go, wow, he's doing really well. Maybe I should listen to what he has to say, or at least follow his example, or start listening to these doctors he's been listening to. I showed my stereo system in one of my videos. I have the whole Tijuana brass collection. Excellent. Absolutely excellent. I only have one. I would like to find them all. I'm sure they're out there for digital download somewhere, but I don't, other than the stuff I put in my videos, I don't really listen. I don't really just sit and listen to music. Because of the type of life that I lead, if I have something playing in the background while I'm doing work around the house or outside or wherever, because there are so many good carnivore YouTubers that I like to listen to, Rick being one of them, I'll put them on and listen to those while I get stuff done. I've really gotten out of the habit of listening to music while I do things, because to me, don't get me wrong, I like music, but with everything else going on in my life right now, and I'm trying to learn everything I can and hear what other people's opinions of certain things are. I listen to as many YouTube videos as I can. Sometimes I don't get to comment on them because I've been listening to them on my phone while I'm not doing something else. And then the next one pops up and I go back to try and find it to comment, and I can't remember which one I was listening to, but I have really gotten out of the habit of just listening to music while I'm doing stuff. Let's go back to the comments here and see what we have. We got Craig and John talking back and forth. I wish more carnivores had ducks, but as of now, I'm the only one who calls non-carnivore foods duck food. And one of the things, I'm hoping that at some point, those of you, if you're on my Facebook page, the Semi-Retired Bob Facebook page, one of my members there sent over some pictures. Now, while I don't think I will ever have the money to build something like that in the desert of Texas, it has given me some ideas that once I get everything mostly built, I am now researching what it will take. It doesn't have to be that big, but just some kind of a pool for myself. I know I want a pond, and once I get a pond, I'm hopeful that I can get some ducks and that the pond will be enough water to keep the ducks happy. And then adding a pool to it be good for me, and hopefully another water source for things like ducks. Because I would actually like to have some ducks, because I like chicken eggs, but people keep telling me how much better duck eggs are. If you listen to Rick, he'll tell you all about how good duck eggs are. But because I live in Omaha, Nebraska, buying anything other than the store brand chicken eggs is cost prohibitive. So at some point, I wouldn't mind having some ducks on that little yellow square of land back there, just so that I can try them for myself. And if I don't like duck eggs, perhaps they'll just end up being on my plate as a dinner, but we'll see. Paul says, I've done a few studies, N equals 1 on coffee, blood pressure, blood sugar, no effect. See, and that's just it. If it doesn't affect you in any of the ways that you're concerned about, whether it be blood pressure, blood sugar, how you sleep, how you wake up, there's any number of things you can check. As long as you're not having any problems with it, I see no reason to give it up, especially if it's something that you enjoy. Unless it's Brussels sprouts. You should just throw those away because those are nasty. But that's just my opinion. Oh, Craig, you really know how to ruin a live stream, don't you? Coffee with sardine cream. Craig, you should start your own YouTube channel and call it, the Sardine Carnivore or something, and just do all sorts of recipes using just sardines. Craig, you made a green juice. That's funny. And Paul says, once I get a permanent place, I will have Muscovies and chickens. Yeah, I'm assuming that, and Rick would probably know this because Rick's down there in Florida, so I know Muscovies can handle the heat, but the dry conditions concern me just a little bit. Do you happen to know off the top of your head, Rick, will the ducks do okay in a drier environment as long as I have a pool of water for them to swim in, or do they need that humidity of South Florida to thrive? Something I'm going to have to look into. I have elevator music playing on my intercom speakers most of the time. The ducks seem to sit around the ground speakers. Yeah, if they like it, they like it. Excellent. Let's see here. Unlike Rick, I do not hide green vegetables in my refrigerator. And Jeannie is here. Hello, Jeannie. I hope you're doing well today. And Katie says, I have some Tijuana Brass. I want a nice non-scratched copy of Whipped Cream album. I understand. John says, I find myself listening to YouTube more than I do music, although I do like listening to some of Marcus Miller's bass riffs. The guy is an incredible bass player. I wish I could play half as well. I understand. There's lots of good stuff. And of course, Jeannie has now said that she forgot whose channel she was on. I completely understand. For those of you that look forward to seeing myself and Dave together, we aren't doing. Normally, the 5th would be our normal week to be together on Wednesday night, but it's not until the 12th this month because Dave has some scheduling issues. I'm getting duck eggs from my nephew who bought a home over the border in New Hampshire. He has several ducks and about 15 chickens. My brother-in-law and sister have about 30 chickens. Let's see here. Duck eggs are great, and they are so, I believe that's supposed to say entertaining. Muscovy ducks can live without much water. They are tough. Good. Mine the clay. Make a clay water solution, spray the ground after rain or irrigation to seal in the moisture. Yeah, and I'm hoping that much of that will happen for me because there's not a lot of topsoil where I'm at. I'm actually going to have to specifically try and build topsoil in places I want to try to grow things. Like with my pond, if I get somebody with an excavator to come over and dig the pond, you don't have to go very far down in the desert to come into what's called caliche, which is basically just hard packed clay. So once the pond is dug, it shouldn't take a whole lot of work to make it hold water. But we'll see how that goes. And Jonathan has arrived. Hello, Jonathan. How you doing today? For those of you that don't know Jonathan, Carnivore Muscle, he's getting ready for a competition. And I can tell he's really getting ripped. Even his face looks so much thinner on his videos right now. I suspect he's going to do really well. And if you're looking to try and build muscle, he's one of the guys I would definitely go follow because he's looking jacked these days. And of course, there's a few people saying hello to Jonathan because he's worth saying hello to. Let's see here. The ducks can live in a desert because I knew someone in Las Vegas who had a bunch of Muscovy ducks. Good. Excellent. That's good to know. And I know from watching them, once I get some compost going and start spreading it around the ground, I'm assuming that will attract some insects that the ducks like to dig for. Because yes, I am planning on having to feed pretty much every animal I have on my property, but I also want them to be as self-sufficient as possible as well, because the less I have to feed them or the more they can scrounge for their own food, the easier it will be on me to take care of them, meaning I can handle more animals. We were up to 30 there for just a moment, and then a bunch of people jumped back out, but hey, that's good. Thanks for stopping by, everybody. Muscovies do not need to swim. A tree bird. Yeah, but I'm still thinking having a pond will give them something to do, especially on days when it's, dry and the wind is blowing and it's 110 degrees in the desert. Having a pond to jump in to cool off is not such a bad idea. My friend keeps Muscovies here in North Carolina, Texas, in north central Texas, and they do fine. Great eggs. I'm looking forward to finding that out for myself. Yes, ducks are one of those things that I want. Oh, is it this Sunday? I didn't realize it had gotten that close. Well, go get them, get jacked up, go do your thing, Jonathan, and I'm sure on your channel you're going to let us know how you did. I know many of us are pulling for you to do well, and I hope it just goes fantastic for you because you've worked really hard for this. And Sylvie is here. Hello, Sylvie. How you doing today? Carnivore muscle is the best muscle. Absolutely. And Patricia says, late, but I have been mowing the yard before the rain moves in tonight. Yeah, it's actually raining outside right now. I'm supposed to, normally on Fridays, after I get done with the live stream, I have to load up in my truck and go to the miniature golf course. But before I started tonight, Dave sent me a message that I'm not working tonight because I'm supposed to, on Friday nights, I'm supposed to be the second person rather than the primary person. And it's been raining off and on all day, and it's supposed to rain mostly through the night tonight. So he doesn't expect it to be busy enough for two of us, so he told me to just take the day off. So that's what I'm doing. I'm quite happy to take a day off. Not that I've been so horribly busy with everything else right now, but I'll take a day off when I can get one, because as we push on into June, the rain will stop, and then I probably won't get another day off until it's time to load up and go to Texas. But we'll see how that goes. You guys are too kind. We'll update everyone on Monday with the outcome. I'm not trying to be kind, Jonathan. I'm just telling the truth. You've worked really hard, and it shows. Man, you are... I wish I could look 1/10 as jacked as you do. But I just started working out when I turned 60. So I don't expect to ever be jacked, but I am slowly building muscle using your advice and the advice of Professor K and a few others. But if you guys are out there watching this and you want to figure out how to build muscle, whether you're early in your journey or like me, late in your journey, meaning you're 60 plus, you can still build some muscle, but it takes a lot of work. Thank you for the super chat, Jonathan. I really do appreciate that. And yes, go out there and support all of the content creators that are bringing you content on a daily basis or on a pretty regular basis. Those that you watch on a regular basis, supporting them is a pretty good deal. You don't have to give money like Jonathan just did, but I appreciate the $2. You can support your favorite carnivores by watching all of their videos. Even if they're talking about something that doesn't really interest you today, watching the videos of your favorite carnivores really does help. And then when you hit the like and the subscribe and leave comments, all of those things help as well. We had not had rain here for weeks. The rainy season has not started. The ocean is so hot. If a hurricane comes our way this year, our goose is cooked. Well, hopefully you get some gooses cooked, but not in that way. We had 5 inches yesterday. Thought we were going to float away. Yeah, it's been very rainy here this year, which explains a lot of my grass mowing videos, because at this time last year, it was very dry. And all the way through April, May, and the first half of June, I think I only cut the grass twice, maybe 3 times, because it just wasn't growing. And this year, I've been cutting it every 5 or 6 days because it just keeps growing. I'm hoping the rainy season ends very soon, because I'm ready to not have to mow every 5 or 6 days just to keep it looking reasonable. And Rick says, once you've been through your competition, I hope you can have some time to relax and just have fun. And Jonathan says, yeah, we have a few things planned. Good. I hope you plan on enjoying yourself for a little while, Jonathan, because like I said, you've worked really hard for it. You deserve it. I hope you do well. And regardless of how it goes, don't forget to take a few days off and go do something fun. Craig says, do you really like hot weather? How do you plan to deal with long streak of triple-digit days? That's how I can deal with heat a lot better than I can deal with the cold. But that's also why I'm building my shipping container home the way I'm planning on building it. It's not going to have any windows. It's going to have one door that goes in and out. It's going to basically be a cave. I'm going to insulate it with regular insulation. Then I'm going to wrap it all. Then I'm going to put earth bags on the outside. I'm going to build a roof over it. I'm going to fill that dead space between the roof of the shipping container and the rain roof that I build over it with straw bales. And basically, I'm going to create myself a little bit of a cave. So their channel is now called Our Self-Reliant Life. If you go to their channel, even on the very hottest of days, because they built, now granted, theirs is just an earth bag dome and mine's going to be smaller, but inside their earth bag dome, on the very hottest of days, it only gets up to 75 or 80 inside their dome. And if you go, they actually dug themselves out a basement. And if you go down there, it stays a pretty consistent 55 degrees down in their basement all year round, regardless of what the weather is outside. And that's sort of what I'm planning to do. It's going to be sturdy enough that while I plan on having to run a little bit of heat in the winter and a little bit of air conditioning in the summer, I'm hoping that I don't have to spend a lot of electricity to make that happen. I'm hoping that I can get by with just what power I have to make that happen. We'll have to see how that goes. I may be completely wrong, but if I don't have to buy a $6,000 or $7,000 solar system, I'm not going to. Let's see what we got here. Never hurts to help out the community. Absolutely. And Rick is absolutely right. Bob's Bat Cave. That's what I'm working on. Yes, it is a lot of work filling earth bags, but what else am I going to do sitting out in the middle of the desert? And that's why I want to hire somebody to come out and dig my pond, because once the pond is dug, I will have the material required to put into the earth bags. I won't have to hand dig the dirt up to fill the bags, and that should make the entire process go significantly faster. But we'll see how it goes. It's 80 degrees or hotter in the ground here. Yeah, well, because you live in a swamp, Rick. You live in a swamp. You can't dig down far enough to get to the cooler temperatures without it filling up with water, because you live in South Florida where it's all a swamp. All right, got there. Bob won't make his life easy with a mini excavator or a skid steer. No, because number one, I'd have to pay for it. I have to buy it. And then I have to maintain it. And I also have to learn how to use it. It will be much easier to just decide what I want to get done and hire somebody to come in for 2 or 3 days and get all the groundwork done. Because something like that is a lifelong investment, and it will forever be breaking down, because I certainly cannot afford a new one, even one of the cheap Chinese knockoffs that you see people running through their paces out there on YouTube. Even the El Cheapos, by the time you get them delivered from China and everything else, you're looking at, $20,000, $25,000, $30,000. And I can't afford that. I mean, that's basically my entire building budget. So no, I can't see getting that kind of stuff. I guess you're on a mechanic like, no, I'm not a mechanic. I'm not anything close to a mechanic. But yeah, I would, rather than taking the chance of losing money on something like that, or not being able to fix it and losing even more money and not being able to figure out how to do it or not get the job done right, I would much rather pay somebody for the work. And yes, your Bobcat was $1,000 back in 2009. I challenge you to find one for, less than $5,000 or $6,000 right now that isn't in so bad a shape it needs a complete overhaul before you can even try to use it. Sometimes the triple-digit heat is more tolerable here when the humidity is lower, but it can be 90 and 84 degrees humidity. My glasses fog up when I go outside. I tolerate it better on Carnivore. Yeah, we get that here in Omaha. It's extremely humid a lot of the time. And when it gets above 90 or 95, it can be really miserable outside. This, what you see behind me, is a desert. It's considered a humid day there if the humidity reaches 40 to 45%. It normally runs, because they make these water evaporator things that you can buy that literally pull humidity out of the air and give you drinking water. Every company I've called said it's just the air is too dry. It's not going to work in your section of the desert. So that's not really an option for where I live. So the humidity is not going to be a problem in the desert. They say you can always put on more clothes in the winter. However, you can only take off so many clothes in the summer. Will public nudity be legal on your property? And not that I'm planning on that, but there isn't anybody around for miles. So we'll see. I don't want to get sunburned. That's all I'm going to say about that. But I tolerate heat much better now than I used to. I mean, I work at a miniature golf course where I'm sitting there in a stone block building on top of a big cement slab in 95 to 100 degree heat with 95 to 98% humidity. Surviving in the desert is going to be a snap. And then just a little bit of air conditioning will go a really long way. Like I said, let's see what happens, but that's still a couple, 3 years down the road. So I'm not going to worry about it this year because I'm going to be down there just through the fall and the winter and the early spring before I have to come back. So we'll see what happens. It's as bad as my possum van that sat for 11 years. Okay. Now, just a quick recap, because we got about 14 minutes left on today's live stream. I do want to go back over, for those of you that have arrived late, I want to go back over the two things that I talked about earlier, which are in the title of this video. First off, the June challenge. Because specifically, I'm looking at you, Craig. Last year, we did this in July, and I had quite a few people not necessarily complain, but comment about, why are we doing this in the hottest month of the year? Why didn't we do this in June? So this year in June, I'd like everybody to keep track of their steps and report daily down in the comments of each video how many steps they got. I'm going to add it all up at the end of the month just to see where we're at. We got a lot bigger total than I was expecting last year. So it'll be interesting to see. I have quite a few more subscribers this year, but, well, I'm not going to comment too loudly, but because of the certain powers that be, my views are down considerably from where they were this time last year. So we're going to do the July challenge that we did last year, but we're going to do it this month. We're going to do it in June, so it's not as hot out. Everybody can get out, walk, and tell me how much you walked every day, and I'll keep track, and we'll just see what we can get to. The other thing that I want to talk about is my 60-day no coffee challenge. For those of you that have been watching me for a while, you know that over the course of the last year and a half, I've done 2 different 30-day no coffee challenges, and those both went very well. I made the discovery at that time that coffee just does not affect me in any negative way. It doesn't cause me to lose sleep. It doesn't, it doesn't aggravate my blood pressure or my blood sugar or any of that kind of stuff. But I thought I'd do it for 60 days this time just to see what happened, because perhaps 30 days isn't long enough for it to get completely out of your system. I had coffee today. There's my mug. It's now empty, but I have not noticed any big change from not having coffee versus having coffee. I'll let you know over the next couple of days if having coffee again makes me jittery or anything, but I don't think it will. Am I going to go back to drinking coffee every day again? Maybe, maybe not. Probably not. But I think this is an experiment we each have to do for ourselves to decide, does coffee affect me or doesn't it? For people that it doesn't affect, I see no reason not to continue drinking it. If you do notice some negative effects, perhaps you should think about giving it up. But again, that's a that's one of those things that you have to decide for yourself. One of the other things I talked about is you're watching down below the scroll from my channel members. We have a new channel member, Buckeye Boys. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for stopping by. Let's see here. Now let's get back in here. Rick says, I just picked up 3 broken down Robin Air recovery units. I'm going to try and build at least one food one. I don't know. I don't have any idea what those are, but that's, I'm sure that's going to be great for you, Rick. Like I said, I don't know what those are, but I hope it works out for you. Paint shaker is cheating for steps. I don't get it. I don't know. But anyway. And Craig asks, have the Cerule products been shown to increase heat tolerance? I don't know. That's a question for Professor K. But since Craig brought it up, I'll go ahead and put the website up there real quick before we end for the day. Again, I'm not asking anybody to rush right out and buy stuff. Although if you want to, that'd be awesome. But all I ever say about Cerule products is they have helped me. I know they have helped me. I'm not allowed to say they will help anybody. I'm not allowed to say that you're going to notice a big difference in anything. I personally have noticed a difference. All I'm asking you to do is go to the website, semiretiredbob.cerule.com. On the front page, up in the drop-down menus across the top, you will find one of them says the science or something to that. Go out and read the science for yourself and decide if it's something you might like to try. You can be a retail customer if you want. Just going out and buying stuff is great. I make the most money on that. Give me just a second. But I don't recommend that. You can find it. You can become a preferred customer for a small fee, but that lets you buy things at a discount as a preferred customer. And if you think you really want to get into it, there are ways that you can earn your products for free and even get bigger discounts by becoming your own independent business operator. And that's another way to buy the Cerule products. That's what I've got to say about Cerule today. If you want to check it out, check it out. If you don't. It's not a big deal. I hope you will check it out, but you certainly don't have to. As always, if you have any questions that you didn't get answered today or forgot to ask, feel free to send me an email at any time. I'm not as quick to respond to emails as I would like to be, but I do have a pretty busy schedule because it's summertime now. So let's see what we've got here. I missed a couple. Let's see here. I tend to collect broken equipment and use it to make tools I need. Yes. And you are an excellent mechanic, Rick. I don't know that I would ever have that kind of skill to do that kind of stuff. And Craig says, Bob, thank you for doing a walking challenge. I've been walking very little. Hopefully your challenge will encourage me to up my game. Me too, Craig. I have been walking a lot, but I haven't been walking quite as far as I used to because I have so much other stuff going on. I'm going to try and carve out at least a half hour every morning for a walk. And if I can squeeze in a 45-minute to an hour walk, I will. We'll just see how it goes. Because sometimes our life gets in the way and it's hard to spend even a full 45 minutes of your day out walking, even though we know that that is very good for us. So we'll just have to see how it goes. Hopefully, this walking challenge will encourage more people to get out there and walk. What this means is that for June, my videos will probably be a little longer because most days I will try to throw in some bob cam footage of my walks. just to show people that, yes, I really am out there walking more in hopes of encouraging others. We've got just a couple of minutes left. If anybody has any last-minute questions or comments, now's the time to get them in before we call it a day. But I hope everyone has had a great week and has a great weekend. We're now into that time of year. We're past Memorial Day. We're now into summertime. It's not technically summer yet, but it's coming. June the 1st is tomorrow. So get your steps in. Get them recorded every day. I hope everyone has a great day. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here today. And this is really what I like. I mean, I love making the videos. I love putting them out. But I think I have the most fun just sitting here in front of my computer talking to you guys, talking about whatever it is you want to talk about each Friday when we get together to chat. Let's see here. Rick has one last comment there. It's going to be a busy weekend. Your Bob is going to be helping you clean up. Well, I hope you get everything done that you want to get done. Don't forget to head over to Jonathan's channel and say go get him on his channel so that he has a good weekend. But most importantly, guys, don't forget, get out there, be 1% better. Today, tomorrow, every day. Have a great day, folks. I'll see you in the next one.